Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for the learning of Teres Hashem. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbach, as we're co-sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents. We're co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan, L'Fur Shalema for Shoshana Bas Panina and Simone Bas Rachel. We're co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lili Nishmas Yitzchak Bar Avram Yehuda Alevi, by Sheldon Zeitlin, for his children, Eli Orit and Ora, by Berit Goldwasser, L'Fur Shalema for Moshe Meir ben Esther Fadl, Dov Meir ben Chai Gittel, and Akar Satayv to the Shir, by Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, and Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zev. We also learn for Davida Esther Davida Bas Liba is having cancer surgery tomorrow. She should have a refuah shalema b'sech sharcha Yisrael. I was sad that we did miss out people by moving it to the morning. I really have to think twice about doing that. I saw we only had 20 Zoomers, so we were missing a lot of people. It was wonderful to have those people that did join us. It did take me some time to get the share onto TorahAnytime.com yesterday. I don't know why, but it did go on YouTube right away. So I hope that if you needed it right away, you were able to pick it up on YouTube.
It was on TorahAnytime. It did come on this morning.
It came on last night. I put it on the chat when it came on. I know exactly when it came on. It came on at about 11:30. I worked hard at it. I'm not wasting time. Okay, we welcome in Marshall Castle and Dr. Guy, Menachem Yemansky, Saba, Chaim Kramer, Yaakov Warman, Irving Fishbaum, and Reuven Shannon, Nachman Chapler, Shalom Fogel, Berish Gesseman, Dr. Black, Eddie Chazan, Michal Avram Chavin, Baruch Ian, Stephen Holtzman, Dr. Yudel, Mo Kushner, Yitzi Fuchs, Shelley Zeitlin, Gedalia Engel, Reb Kaniel, Yisrael Fisher, who is in a plane, Rabbi Kranz, and Ilya Shutman, Naftali Jablin, Avram Rezepkowitz, Yitzi Muller, 29 Zoomers as we begin this Monday evening. We are holding by Esvei, and we are continuing to look into Rabba's opinion that a cotton cannot have a child. So Esvei Abaya, it says Ish. It says this is by a Shifcha Charufa. Shifcha Charufa is if a Shifcha is designated to a man. So Ish, Ein li ela Ish, ben teshan v'yom echad shiroi l'biyah minayin. How do we know if the Shifcha is designated to a 9-year-old and 1-day child? Talmud Leimer, so it says, Talmud Leimer, it says V'ish. So, what?
You're breaking up.
I'm breaking up now?
Starting Wi-Fi.
You got to put a spin on it.
Where's that Esvei?
That's on Samach Tes Amud Aleph, 4 lines from the top.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, so the Gemara says, so you see that a 9-year-old and one-day boy can impregnate a woman. So the Gemara says, no, you don't. Amalai, so Rabbah says to Abaya, Yeshlai, he does have semen, but ve'ena mailed, but it's not semen that's capable to have a child. Kidfua shalai hevia shlishtami. It's like the seeds of grain that didn't ripen a third. Seeds of grain that doesn't ripen a third, didn't ripen a third, can't grow anything. So the Bechizkiah Tana, in the Academy of Chizkiah, was taught, B'chi yazid ish. If a man, now it says, the literal meaning of yazid, I see it's popping in and out, huh?
No, it's not. I can hear it well.
Yeah, I think it's good.
It's popping in and out.
V'chi yazid ish. So the pasuk says, if a man is willful, now that's a lashon of mezid. V'chi yazid ish lahargai, to kill somebody ba'arma. But the word yazid is extra. So it could have just said that if a person kills someone ba'arma with cleverness, why does it have to say yazid? So yazid also means to stew. B'chi yazid ish mezid umazriya. An adult can ferment the semen and cause a woman to conceive. Ve'ein cotton mezid umazriya. But a child cannot do that. So which is again a raya to Rabbah's opinion. Amalei Rav Mordechai Rav Ashi, my mashman I mezid lishna the bishulehu, who says that mezid means to stew. Dichsev vayazid Yaakov nazid, because Yaakov cooked that famous tomato lentil soup that he made the deal with Esav when he said Haliteni na min ha'edoim ha'adoim hazeh, from this red stuff. We also see it, by the way, that's the way that Rashi learns ki badover asher zodu aleihem in Parshas Yisro, that which they plotted, that which they stewed against us. So there it's also a lashon of stew. Says the Gemara, V'atanid by Rabbi Yishmael ben v'loyav, that he has to be a ben tzayra amayra. He can't be an of. He can't be a father. Now, heichi dami. Ilema di'i aber basad aisi shtei cyrus. If she was pregnant after he had 2 pubic hairs, v'oilid mikame deleikiv zakein. In other words, you're right. If it's like Rabbah that he can't sire a child until he's 13 and 1 day, so if it's that he made her conceive after he became a bar mitzvah, v'oilid mikame delakiv zakein, and she gave birth before he had a ring of hair around his gid, and we're telling you that if he's a father already, then he cannot be a ben tzara mayra. But we said that period from when he has 2 hairs and when he has a ring around the base of the organ of hair is only 3 months. Says the Gemara, is there enough time for him to impregnate her after bar mitzvah, and yet she should have a child before he has a ring of hair? All the span of a ben tzara mayra is only 3 months. It must be that he impregnated her before he had the 2 pubic hairs. So that's a raya not like Rabbah. That's a raya that a cotton could sire a child. Vishmami not cotton mailet. Says Merlai. Ay, ay, ay. Loilam di aber basar daisish Cyrus. It's talking about where he got her pregnant as soon as he had 2 black hairs. He was 13 years old. He was bar mitzvah. V'oiled basar da'akiv zaken. And she gave birth 9 months later, or 7 months later, after already. But it means, or the kakashal of the Reb Chris Badai, that the whole span is 3 months. Ki asr Abdimi Amar Imre b'Marava. They explained the drasha in the West. Ben v'loy haroi l'kroisei of. You only put him to death if he's a son and not someone who already could be called a father. If his wife is showing that at 3 months, right? So she could be, if he impregnated her after bar mitzvah, she's already showing by 3 months. So if she's already showing, so then we don't put him to death anymore because he's already fit to be called a father because his wife is noticeably pregnant. Gufa, 3 lines from the beginning of the wide lines on Daf Samach Tes Amud Aleph as we welcome in Mel Zachter, Michal Akta, as we Baruch Hashem have 33 Zoomers back. Gufa, Amar Rab Chris B'dai, Amar Rab Shapsi, Kol Yomam Shel Ben Saira Amayra, the full span of a Ben Saira Amayra, Eina Ela Gimel Chadashim Tanan. Bilvad, it's only 3 months. Says the Gemara V'anan Tanan that the shear is Mishiyava Ishtei Cyrus V'ad Sheyakov Zaken. It's from when he sees 2 pubic hairs until he has a hair of ring at the base of the organ. So the Gemara says it's whichever one comes first. Hikiv Zaken, if he has a ring of hair before 3 months, Afagav Deloy Malu Gimel Chadashim, he is not eligible to be put to death. Malu Gimel Chadashim, if it's 3 months, Afagav Deloyik, even if he doesn't have a ring of hair, he's also not eligible to be put to death. So it's whichever one comes first. Yosef Reb Yaakov min Nar Pocket, Kamei de Ravina. Reb Yaakov from Nar Pocket sat before Ravina. V'Yosef come Mishmei de Rav Huna Breid Reb Yeshua, and he was sitting and sang in the name of Rav Huna Breid Reb Yeshua. Shmami no mid de Rebbe Chris Badai. We could infer from Rebbe Chris Badai that Amar Reb Shapsi Yoledes L'Shiva. If a woman gives birth to a 7-month baby, Ein Uber Nikir L'Shlish Yameha. Her pregnancy will not be recognizable in a third of the time. In other words, even if she gives birth prematurely, the baby won't be seen until the 3rd month. The Isal Gedaitach Ubra Nikir L'Shlish Yameha Lamali Gimel. Why do we say that the time is up in 3 months? Betray v'tilsa sagya. It could be already that we don't execute him at 2 1/3, because if he impregnated a woman and she's showing, then he's roy to be called of, and then we don't execute him. Amalei, so he says, a uber is recognized at a third of its time, but we're not worried about that because zilba saruba, we go according to the majority, and the majority of women who get impregnated give birth at 9 months. Says the Gemara, so therefore, we don't consider him fit to be called a father until 3 months. So now the Gemara wonders, do we execute a person by going after the Rav? Amrur Kamei Rav Huna Breid Reb Yeshua. Amalahu Ubedine Nefashas Miyazlin on Basaruba. By dinei nefashis, when a man's life is at stake, do we go after the majority? But Hatayra Amra V'Shaftu Ha'eda V'Tzilu Ha'eda, the assemblage judges and the assemblage saves. In other words, they look for any possibility, any chance, any type of doubt to save his life. V'at Amr Zilbas Aruba, and you say you go according to the majority? Says the Gemara, we certainly do. Adra Kame de Ravina, they said this to Ravina, Amalahu Bedine Nefashos Lo Yazrina Basaruba, we don't go Basarayv. But Tanan, we said that if, let's say, Marshall and his crony in crime, Eddie, they testify, one says, Marshall said that the murder took place on the second of the month, and Eddie said it was the third of the month. We said Edusan Kayemes, that the testimony is upheld. Why? Marshall knew that the previous month was a pregnant month, and therefore now it's only the second of the new month, and Eddie didn't know that. If we say that we don't go basarayv, neimahani dafka komisade. They testified accurately, and they're contradicting each other. Elalav, because we go basarayv, and basarayv in the beginning of the month, a lot of people don't know about the intercalation of the month. They make a mistake. So you see that when it comes to a capital case, we rely on a right. I'll bring you another raya than in a capital case. We rely basarayv. Boy, again, we're missing. This is a shout out to Mark Frankel. We're really missing Mark Frankel now for a few days. And I was just going to say Barry Cement, and here he comes in. Barry, it's like they say in Swahili, better late than never. But I'm sure Barry was, busy with very important things. Very important things. Him and Marshall always have extremely important business if they're not here. But anyway, Barry, we are holding by Afanan Nami Tanina, 5 lines from the bottom of Samech Tes Amid Aleph. Barry was a little nervous. He was thinking whether he should come on because Samech Tes reminded him about the Sitra Akra, but he came in. He came in anyway. Isn't
that his middle name?
Marshall, I was wondering if Marshall knew what Sitra Akra is. He thought it was a type of bourbon. But anyway.
It's cement, and the cement.
Yeah, okay, we got the cement shoes for you, don't worry. So anyway, says the Gemara, Afanan Nami Tanina, that we go basarayv in a capital case. Bas shalosh shanim v'yom echad, a girl that's 3 years and 1 day, so she's a bas bia. Miskadeshes babia, she could be betrothed with bia. V'im ba'aleh yavim, and if her brother-in-law sleeps with her kana, he acquires her as the yavama. V'chayavin aleh mishameshes ish, and if someone sleeps with her, they're chayiv for adultery. U'metame es ba'ala, and if she is a nida, her bia is a bia to be metame, the one who sleeps with her, l'tame mishkav ataktoin ke'elyon, that he, when he lies on something, makes it a rishon, like the clothing that a nida wears upon her. That's what it means, ke'elyon, ke'elyoina shel zav, or ke'elyoina shel nida. He makes the not she, a man who slept with this 3-year-old in one day, menstruant, would make what he sleeps on like the clothing of a nida, being a rishon. Nisis l'kayin, if she marries a kayin achelas b'truma, she could at least eat truma d'rabbanan. Bo le'echad min ha'psulin, if one of the psulin sleep with her, like a mamzer or a nasan, pasla min ha'kahuna, they disqualify her from kahuna. V'im bo le'echad mikol ha'rayas hamuris b'tayra, and if any of the forbidden relationships of the Torah sleep with her, mumsin oleh, they're killed because of her. V'hi patura, she's patur. Now the problem is we said if somebody sleeps with her, let's say she's married, and and Barry sleeps with her, he's executed. But why? Maybe it'll turn out that she's an islandess, and then the kedushin was a kedushay taz, and then there was no marriage, and he didn't do adultery. Elamai, we go basa raiv, that raiv women are not an islandess. Vamai, says the Gemara, as we turn to Daf Samates Samad Beis, Ema islandessy, maybe she's an islandess, vadaita dahachi like Kaddish. Elalav, it must be Damrina Zil basa ruba, we go basa majority, v'raiv nashim, lav islandess nino. Says the Gemara, no. My chayav aleh diktani, it means that if it's b'shaygeg, you have to bring a carbon. Says the Gemara, but the hamumsin al yada kitani. It says that they're put to death because of her. Says the Gemara, b'ba'al avia. It's talking about where it's not a marital prohibition. It's an incestuous thing. Her father slept with her. V'im ba'al echad mikol harayis kitani. Any of the harayis, so it includes also adultery. My askin on the kibla ilvei, where the husband that married her said that I'm marrying her and I love her so much that I'm marrying her even if she's an islandess. So there's no suffix that it should be a kedushay taz. Tan Rabbanan, hamusuleles bibna cotton. If let's say a mother is fondling her young child, and he's 9 years old on one day. Well, we'll see. We'll see how old he is. That's going to be, Gemara's going to say he's actually 8. But let's see it inside. Hamasuleles bibna cotton, vehereba, and she has him penetrate her. His genitals touch her genitals, or maybe penetrate a little bit. Beis Shammai says he renders her a zayna, and she's puzzled from kahuna. Or Beis Hillel makshirin, and Beis Hillel, there's no Eidim, there's no Asra, so there's no Misa, but Beis Shammai says he disqualifies her from kahuna. Beis Hillel says that she's kosher. Now, Amar Rav Chia Breid, now we're going to modify and draw the parameters of where Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are arguing. Amar Rav Chia Breid, Rabbi Bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Chisda. Rav Chia, the son of Rabbi Bar Nachmani, says the name of Rav Chisda. V'imrei la, and others say, Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Zeiri. If he's 9 years old in one day, then he's a barbia, then of course he makes her a zayna, according to everybody. Pachis became Pachis meben shmeina. If he's less than 8, then everybody agrees it's nothing. She'ein biyasabiyah. Lo nechlaku ela beben shmeina. If he's 8 years old, the Beis Shammai sabrei gamrinon midoros rishayim. We see that in the earlier generations, an 8-year-old was able to have a child. O Beis Hillel sabrei no nishtanu ativim, niskatnu adoros, and lo gamrinon midoros rishayim. This, by the way, is a big cloud that the famous question is, why does it say in the Mishnah that Ben Yud Ches L'Chuppah, Chuppah is a mitzvah pir v'rivya, it should be at 13. So the Bikura Yaakov quotes from a Gemara in Kiddushin that Eino Chanami, in the earlier days, a person could get married at 13. Now, nechlashu ativim, our natures have changed. We became weaker. So Beis Hillel said, you're right. In earlier times, an 8-year-old could sire a child, but not anymore. And until 9 years old and 1 day, it's not a bas bia, and if he penetrates her, he doesn't make her a zayna, and she's not disqualified from kahuna. So now the Gemara says, and the rest of the Amid is going to discuss, at least most of the rest of the Amid is going to discuss, where do we know that in the ancient times an 8-year-old could have a child? Minal on the island, it says, Haloi Zeis bas Sheva bas Eliam Eishes Uriah Hachiti. This is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, who was the son of Achitophel. The Ksiv, the Eliam, ben Achitophel Agiloin. So we have that Shlomo HaMelech was born from Bathsheba, who was born from Eliam, who was born from Achitophel. The Ksiv, Vayishlach b'yad Nasan HaNavi, sent by the hands of Nasan HaNavi, Vayikra Shmo Yedidya, and he called him Yedidya Bavur Hashem Ohavoi, because Hashem loved him. The Ksiv Vayilish Nasayim Yomim, after 2 years, Vayir Geizim LaAvshalom, there were shearers for Avshalom. The Ksiv Avshalom Barach, Avshalom fled, Vayelech Yeshura, Vayisham Shloi Shanim, and he was there 3 years. The Ksiv, and it says, Vayashav Avshalom b'Yerushalayim, Vayeshav Avshalom b'Yerushalayim Shnasayim Yamim. He lived in Yerushalayim 2 years. Upnei HaMelech lo yirah. He didn't see the king. V'ksiv v'hi meketz arba mishana. After 40 years, Vayomer Avshalom el HaMelech Elkanah, I'm going to go and v'shalma es nidri, and pay the vow asher nadarti la'Hashem b'Chevron. Now, all of this is necessary to tell us that Achitophel sided with Avshalom in a plot against David HaMelech, and when Achitophel saw that Avshalom did not carry out his counsel, so Achitophel knew he was cooked. Achitophel ra kiloi nesesah, his counsel wasn't taken. Vayachal vayishes hachamar, he saddled his donkey. Vayokam vayelech al beisa, he went to his house. Ve'al iroi, to a city. Vayitzav al beisa, he left the last will and testament. Vayechonik, and he choked himself. He committed suicide. Now, how old was Achitophel when he died? V'ksiv anshe damim umirmu lo yechatzu yameim. Men of bloodshed and deceit will not live till half their days. So since the average lifespan is 70, half days is 35 years, and they won't live till 35. V'tanya kol shnoisav shel doeg ha'adaimi, who was a Rasha, all the years of doeg, einan ela shloshim v'arba, Taka lived only till 34. V'shel Achitophel, and the years of Achitophel, einan ela shloshim v'shalosh, only 33 years old. So now we're going to compute, we're going to have to see how at 33, Achitophel could already have 3 generations, because he had Eliam, Bathsheba, and Shlomo. So Dal Tarte Shnei, first, so Kam Yahavi Elahu, how many years did Achitophel have? Tlas and Vitlas, 33. Dal Sheva Dav Shlomo. At the time that Achitophel died, Shlomo was 7. So that's 33 minus 7 gives us 26. Pasalo Esem Rishis is left 26 years. Now, during those 26 years, there had to be 3 pregnancies. Right? The pregnancy to have Eliam, the pregnancy to have Bathsheba, and the pregnancy to have Shlomo. So that's 2 years. Dal Tarte Shnei, Letlasi Bure, 2 years for the 3 pregnancies, that's left 24. Ishtakach the kol chad v'chad b'tamnei oilad. Each one, Eliam, Achitophel, Eliam, and Bathsheba were each 8. So you see, in the ancient times, you could give birth at 8. Says the Gemara, maybe not. Mimai. Dilma travayu b'tesha oilad. Achitophel and Eliam were 9. A woman is different because a woman's body matures. We know that a woman. We said a boy is basbi at 9. A woman is basbi already at 3. So the Gemara says perhaps it's not that way. Perhaps Dilma travayu b'tesha oilad. Maybe Eliam and Achitophel gave birth at 9. Or Bathsheba Elida b'shis at 6. Mishum de'it sabari. A woman gets mature quicker. Teda. We even know that Bathsheba had another child before that. Dohava Vlad Meikara. She had another child before Shlomo. So therefore, that's not a raya that a man in the olden days was able to sire a child at 8. Ella Mehacha. We know it from Avram Avinu. Very interesting proof. Ela told us Terach. This is the offspring of Terach. Terach hoiled as Avram, as Nachor, as Haran. Terach had 3 children: Avram, Nachor, and Haran. Avram gadol Nachor shana. Avram was bigger than Nachor 1 year. Nachor gadol Haran shana. And Nachor was bigger than Haran a year. That means that Avram was older than Haran 2 years. Nimsa Avram gadol shtei shana meharan. Now, what was the age difference between Avram and Sarah? First of all, V'ksiv vayikach Avram v'Nachor lehem nashim. Avram and Nachor took women, right? We know that Avram's wife was Yiska, and Nachor's wife was Milcah. V'am Reb Yitzchak, Yiska zu Sarah. She was called Sarah. V'lam nikra shma Yiska. Why was she Yiska? Shesoicha b'ruach hakodesh, because she would have vision with prophecy, right? Kol asher tomer Sarah shma b'kayla. V'aynu d'chsiv kol asher tomer lecha Sarah shma b'kayla. Davar acher Yiska. She was such a beauty. Shakol soicha miyafya. Everybody looked at her beauty, and it didn't ruin her. It didn't spoil her. She was still a very righteous and modest woman. B'ksiv, and it says, Vayipol al panav vayitzchak. Avram fell on his face and laughed. Vayomer belibai, and he said, will a 100-year-old man have a child? Kama koshis Avram is Sarah. How much older was Avram? He said, will a 100-year-old man have a child? Will a 90-year-old woman have a child? So Kama koshis Avram is Sarah. How much was Avram older than Sarah? Eser shana. That's the Sefer Adairis says that he was 25 and he married Sarah when she was 15. Now, the koshis me'avua tartin shnin. So he was 10 years older than her, and he was 2 years older than Haran. So if he was 10 years older than her, that means that Sarah was born when he was 10. And since Sarah is Haran's child, and Avram was 2 years older than Haran, so that means that Haran had her at 8, right? Avram was 2 years older than Haran. So Ishtaka ki older Haran was Sarah, that when Haran had Sarah, betamnei olida, he had her at 8. Now the Gemara questions, well, maybe not. Maybe Haran was older than Avram. It says Avram first. Maybe it said it in order of chashivas, not in order of age. Mimai dilma Avram zuta da'achvam. Maybe Avram was younger. V'derech chachmasan kachashivlu, and it only counted them in order of their knowledge. Teda de kachashivlu kra derech chachmasan you should know that the Torah doesn't always do it according to age, but according to wisdom. Noach was 500. And Noach had as Shem, as Cham, as Yafes. Shem, Cham, and Yafes. So the Gemara assumes Shem gadol me Cham shana. Shem was older than Cham a year. The Cham gadol me Yafes shana. Nimtza Shem gadol me Yafes shtei shana. But that doesn't work. The Ksiv v'Noach ben sheish mea shana v'amabel hayamayim al haaretz. Noach was 600 when the Mabel came. The Ksiv Eila told the Shem ben ma'ash shana. Shem was 100. The Yoiled es Fakshad, and he had a Fakshad Shnasayim Akar Mabel. So that means that Shem was only 100 in the year 602. So it can't be that Shem was born first, because it says that Noach gave birth when he was 500. So if Shem was born first, he should have been 100 in the year 600, not 2 years after the Mabel. So Ben Meir Shana, if he was born first, he wouldn't be 100 in the year 602. Bar Meir V'Tartan Shninavi, he would be 102. Ella Derech Chachmasan Kachashavlu. We calculate them according to importance. Hachanami by Avram, maybe Avram wasn't the oldest, maybe Haran was older, and therefore he was older than 8. And Derech Chachmasan Kachashavlu, it only counts them according to their knowledge, according to their importance. Amar Rav Kahana, Amrisel Shmaitza Kamid Rav Zvidman Arda. I said this over before Rav Zvidman Arda, that you see that Shem was not the oldest son. Amali Aton Me'achamas Nisu. You bring me a raya from there. V'anon Me'achamas Ninala. I'll prove you that Shem wasn't the oldest, because it says L'Shem Yulad Gamhu, and to Shem was also born Avi Kol Bnei Ever, the father of all the children of Ever, Achi, the brother of Yefes Agadol. So we see that Yefes was the older one, not Shem. And when it says Shem, Cham, and Yefes, it was in order of their knowledge. I said, Achi Yefes Agadol, Yefes Agadol Sheba'achav Ave. So again, we're stumped. Where do we see that in the Dairis Harishainim, they gave birth at 8? Now I just want to point out to the Olam that there is a very, very stunning question. We know that Hashem told Noach to build the Teva 120 years before the Mabel. And Rashi says that he did that so that the people of the time would have 120 years to do tshuva. Now, since the Mabel was when Noach was 600, that means that Noach was told to build the Teva at 480. And at 480, Hashem told him that you will take your children and their wives into the Teva. But at 480, Noach didn't have children yet, because he had his first child when he was 500. So why was he telling him to take his children into the Teva? He didn't even have children. So I have 2 answers to this question. The first answer to this question is Hashem said in the schus of doing this monumental project of building the Teva, you'll be zeichet to children. The second question is that Noach had an obvious question. What's it going to help to save me in the Teva? Nam and I don't have any children. When we die, there won't be a world anymore. So you're not saving the world. So Hashem had to tell him, don't worry, you're going to have a family. In 20 years from now, you're going to start having a family. But it's an interesting point that not many people point out. So, but Nell says, don't distract us. I want to know, how do you know that you have children at 8? In the older generations, how do you know that you have children at 8? So, says the Gemara, Elaminola Mahacha, Ubetzalel ben Uri ben Hur, Lamatra Yehuda. Betzalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, to the tribe of Yehuda. V'ksiv, Vatomes Azuva Eishes Kalev, Azuva, the wife of Kalev, died, or she got saras. V'yikach loi, it's referring to Miriam. V'yikach loi es Ephres, v'teled loi es Chur. And he had Chur, so we see that Kalev had Chur, who had Betzalel, Kalev had Chur, who had Uri, who had Betzalel. Now, how old was Betzalel when he made the Mishkan? The Chiyovid Betzalel Mishkan Bar Kamahave. How old was he? Bar Tleiser. He just became an adult. He was 13. He became an adult. So Betzalel, when he did the Mishkan, was 13. V'tanya, Shana Rishayna Asa Moshe Mishkan. Moshe Rabbeinu made the Mishkan the first year. Shniya Heikem Mishkan, the second year, he put it erect. V'shalach Meraglim. And he sent out the Meraglim, because now we're going to compute how old Kalev was when he sent out the Meraglim, when he was one of the Meraglim. V'ksiv, Kalev said, Ben Arbam Shana Anoichi B'shach Moshe Eved Hashem, when Moshe sent me out, and now I'm 85. So that means that when he went out in the second year, he was 40. So Kama Havilu Arbon. Now, if he was 40 in the second year, Betzalel was 14, because he was 13 when the Mishkan was set up, and this is the second year. So how much was Betzalel when Kalev was 40? He was 14. Dal Arbisa, Dave Betzalel. So you have 40 minus 14 is 26. Paslu Esrim V'shit. Now, in those 26 years, Kalev had to have 3 generations, right? Because Kalev had Chur, Chur had Uri, and Uri had Betzalel. So that's three generations. Now, in the 26, you have to deduct 2 years for the 3 pregnancies. Dal tarte shnei the tlasa ibure. So that's left with 24. So 24, there was 3 generations. That's 8, 8, and 8. Ishtakach the kol chad b'chad b'tam ne'yoyled. Each had it. Betzalel was 8. Kalev was 8. Chur was 8. And Uri was 8. Kalev was 8. Chur was 8. And Uri was 8 when they finally had Betzalel. So we see that in the ancient times you could give birth at 8.
There was no Kedushin, was there?
Huh?
What about Kedushin? No Kedushin, probably.
Well, don't forget it was before Matan Torah.
But Yaakov Avinu was asking Yosef, "Where's your ksuba?" So
that might have been a Midas Chasidus. And also because of the fact that there were no good girls in Mitzrayim. Okay.
Is Gemara finished with how do you know Basarot?
Yes. Yes.
Because it could have used Gemara where it says Sheva B'Sayif Nikav, that when they kill a person, how do I know he killed him? Maybe he was a treifa. That's the Gemara.
Right. It could have said that. Correct.
That would have been a very good raya.
Correct. Now, first of all, I want to know, how was the rest of the shir? It was clear?
It was still
A little bit in and out.
Yeah.
When the voice freezes, the picture also froze.
I'm saying, was it bad throughout the shir?
Not as bad, but it was there still.
Could you move a seat a little bit further to one side? Maybe you're just in a spot where the Wi-Fi's not hitting it well.
No, I don't. I mean, I have the Wi-Fi right near it, but I could maybe even try to bring the Wi-Fi closer. So it was very annoying throughout this year?
Not annoying at all.
No, Barry was quiet.
Fine. I think the end of the year went better.
Okay, you mean what you're saying, Yisrael, is there's just some people that always like to complain. I just want to make sure that that's what it is.
Maybe you plugged in directly. Maybe this using a wire would make it faster.
You mean an Ethernet?
Yeah, Ethernet.
I could try an Ethernet. I wonder if my box has an Ethernet. I could try that. We'll see, because tomorrow is also the Chumash year, so I want to check up with that. Again, we are looking...
On Tuesday?
No, Chumash is Wednesday, correct. Good thing it's not tomorrow night, because I didn't prepare it yet.
Everybody's listening around here, son.
I'm also still looking, I have a sponsor for Wednesday night, but I'm looking for a sponsor for Thursday night for the main shir in the Boca Raton the Deerfield Young Israel. So if anybody is interested in sponsoring that shir, please let me know, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. And now we're going to do the Mishnah Yomis.